talking. So we're gonna solve quadratics using square roots, and we've been factoring, and here's when you use square roots. It's when you only have like x squared or r squared or z squared or whatever. Like the way this looks. All right. So if you look, there's no x term or there's no n term. So we've been having 3 terms, right? So that x term, if you have it, you can't solve by square root. But if you don't, then you can. So it's really easy. So your first step is to get x squared or n squared or whatever your variable is by itself. So if you look at the very first one, you'll see that it already is by itself. So you want it over there with nothing in front of it and nothing behind it. The second step is to take the square root. And we've worked with square roots already, and that's this little sign right here. It looks like this. So what you're going to do is take the square root of both sides. Square roots cancel out a square. So those 2 little things cancel out, and you're just left with the n. And then for this first one, it's going to work out really nice. To do this on your calculator, you do second, we've already done this before, and this x squared right here. Okay, it gives you the square root sign, and we're going to type in 36. Now, what you need to remember, guys, what you need to remember, there are always 2 answers. The 2 answers are positive and negative 6. Okay, so just like we were doing before with factoring, we would have 2 answers, right? We would change the sign inside of parentheses and have 2 answers. It's the same exact thing. Make sure you have 2 answers. So number 2 is the exact same thing. That m squared is all by itself, so we can go ahead and take the square root. The square root cancels out the square. When I put it in my calculator, I get 4, but remember I should also have -4. I don't care how you write it. I did plus minus over here. You can do it like this. I don't care. Okay, your assignment is on EDIA. I'm not sure how they want it. I don't know if they'll split it like you had it before where it had n equals and n equals. Oh, I don't know because I haven't looked at it. All right. So now I want to look at number 4. I'll come back to number 3. Look at number 4. I want to get that b squared by itself. How do I move that 2? It's not hard. It's something we've always done. How do I move that 2? Subtract it. So I get b squared equals 30. Once you get that square term by itself, you take the square root. You can put this in, but I'm going to tell you that it's not going to change anything. It's going to be a crazy decimal. Remember, there's a positive and a negative. But I also want to remind you how to simplify square roots. So this one, it's not going to simplify. 30 does not simplify, but I'm going to remind you how we do it. We break it down just like we did our factors. 30 is 3 and 10, or 3, 2, and 5. We don't have any pairs, so that's why this one won't simplify. You can leave it as plus or minus square root 30, or you can write the decimals. It doesn't matter, but you need to do both ways. You need to be able to do both ways. Your final exam will probably have this before it will have decimals. Does that make sense? So I'll show you how to break those down as we move on, okay? I think EDO will take the decimals, so do the decimals. That's fine. Just if they don't, this is what they're looking for. All right, I'm going to drop to number 8. Look at number 8. This is one where we'll have to make sure that we simplify it. Okay, so we'll do the decimals first, and then I'll show you how to simplify it. Okay, I don't care which one you give me. So it's already by itself. We're going to take that square root. If we do decimals, it's 9.17. But remember also negative 9.17. Okay, so it's both. That's all, that's it. You don't have to show any more work than that. That's all you have to do. Now, if they want it in square root form, we're going to do what we know by finding our factors of 84. And I'm going to find some good ones. 4 and 21 is easy. 4 is 2 and 2. 21 is 3 and 7. Those are ones that I knew. You'll see that you have pairs. So we're going to circle those. We had a pair of 2s. That comes outside of that square root sign. Inside what we left over that didn't have pairs, 3 times 7 is 21. A positive and a negative. Again, I don't care which one you give me. When you're doing your EDA assignment, I would just go ahead and do the decimals if it will let you. Okay, don't stress out about that. But you do have to know how to break this down. Breaking it down is 100% on the final exam. And then when we do quadratic formula, which is next, that's the longest one. It's easy, but you will have to break down that. Okay, so it's good that we're going over it now. All right, look at number 7. Trying to get all the ones that we don't have to do any work on. We take the square root. We get k equals, if I put in the square root of 7, it gives me 2.65. But I got to remember my negative 2.65. Will 7 break down? What are your factors of 7? 1 and 7. So it won't break down. So if you had it in square root form, it would just be plus or minus square root 7. You can't break it down. All right. I'm going to look at number 9 because we've already done one kind of like number 9. How do I get this n squared by itself? Add the 6. We get n squared equals 25. 19 plus 6 is 25. Once I get n squared by itself, I'm going to take that square root, and I'm going to hope that it's a good one, and I get 5. So this one was really good. What do I need to remember? It's not just 5, but negative 5 as well. If it comes out to a whole number, there's no way to write it like this square root. You're not going to do that. Okay. Go to number 12. How do I get that k squared by itself? Subtract 4. And this one also comes out to be 25. I got the square by itself, so I'm going to take the square root. And we already did that right here. So we get k equals 5. Gosh, sorry about that, y'all. 5 and negative 5. So don't forget to do 2 answers. Any questions? Going to jump up to number 10. This one turns out to be a good one too. What do I need to get rid of? How do I get rid of that 4? Divide by 4, just like we do everything else. Don't worry that it has a square with it. Just do it like it's everything else. 36 divided by 4 is 9. And again, you can do that in your calculator, not a big deal. We got the square by itself, so we'll take the square root. The square root of 9 is positive 3. What do I need to remember? A negative 3 as well. That's it. There is no way to write that as a square root if it simplifies out. All right, we're going to jump up to number 6. 11 will be the last one I do. I'll come back to it. Jump up to number 6. How do we get that b squared by itself? Divide by negative 5. Watch your signs. I get b squared equals a positive 7. We've actually already solved a problem like this. It's number 7. We take the square root. 7 will not break down. Your decimal is 2.65 or negative 2.65. If we write it as a square root, the 7 will not break down, so you can leave it like that. Any questions on those? So far, so good, right? I'm gonna jump up to number 3, then move to 5, and then move to 11. So number 3, what do I need to do on there? Divide by -7. I don't know what that is. I'm gonna use my calculator. -644 divided by -7 gives me a positive 92. Once I get that square by itself, I'm gonna take the square root. I'm gonna hope that it's a good square root, but it's not. So that means I'll have to simplify it a little bit. The decimal answer is 9.59 or -9.59. Again, EDS should be fine with this. I am fine with this, but your EOC will probably have it in square root form. We also need to know how to do square roots because we'll be doing them tomorrow, okay? So we're gonna simplify the square root of 92. It may not simplify, we're gonna try. So I'm gonna put 92 in and try to find some factors. 4 and 23 is a good one if you know that 23 is not a good factor, like it's just 23. So 4 is 2 and 2, and 23 will not break down into anything else. So I have a pair of 2s that will come outside, and I didn't touch the 23. Make sure that you do a positive and a negative. Again, I don't care which one you give me, decimal or square root form, but you will have to do square root form tomorrow. All right, number 5, what do I need to do? How do I get n squared by itself? Divide by what? -1. Yeah, remember this is the same thing, just in case you need to write it. -1 n squared equals -98. So remember there's always a 1 there. So it looks just like the problem we just did. So -7 was there, we divided by -7. This time -1's there, so we divide by -1. And we get n squared equals 98. We're gonna hope for the best. Take that square root. We didn't get the best. We got 9.899 and -9.899. I'm going to try to simplify this. So again, EDO will probably take that. I have 2 and 49 are good factors because I know that 49 is 7 and 7. I have a pair of 7s and I left a 2. So that's your simplified form. It's always going to be plus and minus. So a plus 7 square root 2 and a minus 7 square root 2. Everybody good? All right. So on number 11, you won't have a ton of these. And again, if you put it in decimal form, you'll be okay. What do I need to do to get m squared by itself? Divide by 25. I know that 49 and 25 are both perfect squares. That means they'll both do that square root perfectly if I put them in my calculator. So here's how you do fractions. When you do the square root over here, you do the square root of the top and the square root of the bottom. M equals, and my calculator, square root of 49 is 7. Square root of 25 is 5. What else do I need to remember? Another one. One is positive, one is negative.
You're going to have something like m squared equals 24 over 49.
They can do it in their calculator as well. That's what I'm about to show them.
I'm just saying. if you're
And
gonna
they
have
were,
some-
did they put decimals in first period?
No, we did all,
Can they?
I had one kid doing it, took it, but when I tried it, it didn't take it, so I would do,
Okay. So we'll see. With a,
you had to break the 24.
oh, gotcha. This is what she's saying. So if you have one like this, but the bottom was good, right? The bottom was a good fraction. Okay, so if you have something like this is good. You still take the square root of both, just like we just did. But this one will not break down, so I'm gonna hang on to that one for just a minute. The 49 does break down into 7. Okay, so the bottom is gonna be perfect. Everybody got that? The top just break down like normal. So you have the square root of 24. 24 is 3 times 8. And we know that 8 is 3 2s. Do I have pairs? Of what? So whatever I have pairs of, I'm going to pull out. What I left was 3 times 2 or 6. That's going to replace the top right there. So you would get m equals 2 square root 6 over 7. And what do I need to remember? A negative 2 square root 6.
And when
over 7.
they're putting this in, you gotta hit the fraction bar first, and then you'll do like the top, you like 2 square root 6, and then go down to the bottom and do 7, because if you don't, it messes it up.
Yeah. So if you have problems on it, let us know.
If
Okay.
you miss it the first time, holler at us, because it could be you're having problems just putting it in, okay?
Is everybody good?
On to the second one.
All right, let's do this. Let me look at one of them.
The first one is very similar to what I said.
It's okay. Where are we? Oh, right here.
right there.
Let's look at that one. I don't know if this is the problem you're gonna have, but I'm gonna. No, that one will just come out to 1. That one's not gonna work. Get off of here. Out of the way. 33. That one will work. So Zoomers, hold on a minute and I'll show you. We'll get back to. All right, so this problem right here. This is actually a 2-step problem, just like normal. How would I get n by itself? What's the first thing that I need to do? Thank you. I got a what? Ooh, we're not sure, right? What are we on the, what are we solving for? N squared. What's on the same side but not with it? This plus 3. So I need to minus 3. So I get 9n squared equals 33. Now how do I get n squared by itself? Divide 9. We get n squared equals 33 over 9. You want to take the square root. Remember I told you to take the square root at the top and the bottom. The top will not be a perfect one, so we're going to leave it alone for just a minute. Okay, so what I'm telling you is if I did square root 33, it's going to give me an ugly decimal. But if I do square root 9, I get a 3. You want to check to see if this one breaks down. 33 is 3 times 11. Do I have pairs? No. So your final answer, you have to leave it alone, square root 33 over 3. And then what else do I need to remember? Negative square root 33 over 3. Got it? So that's what she's saying is that top one won't break down. That might be one of your questions. I don't know if it is. Somebody might have
There's
that
some very
exact question.
similar to that.
Okay. Any questions? All right, I'm gonna stop sharing, stop recording.